Hey guys, hey Spartan here with the deck profile. Today we have a Force of Will deck profile with the ruler of Snow White. Why Snow White? Solid card. Its stats when its J ruler is pretty awesome. And there's a new card from Millennia of Ages that came out in the form of Little Red that piqued my interest. So apples go with apples. So we have a deck profile for you guys, and let's start with the J ruler. So Snow White herself. You can see the art there, it's pretty awesome. So its J activate has two J activates. It is a pay white, red, and 2 colors to flip it, or you could pay 1 and discard a poison apple. So with this deck, there are 8 apples in total, 4 poison apple, which is one of the main ones that's used, and Clockwork apple bomb, which isn't the popular apple, but it's an apple nonetheless. So we flip it with poison apple or pay the 4, and boom, you get Bloody Snow White. Pretty shiny on the card, but looks pretty awesome. It is a 1300 target attacker. Also, it has 2 activated abilities. You tap it to rest target J ruler or Resonator, so that could stop some aggro people out there, or a big blazer per se. Or you could pay 1 and discard a poison apple to destroy target Resonator. So it has, and that one doesn't need to be tapped to use that ability. So both abilities are good. It has good attack and defense, and target attack is never bad. So good ruler. It's just the pain in the butt to flip, because the paying the 4 and you have to have the poison apple in your hand to do either one. So Snow White's cool. But there, we're gonna start with the stones. And yeah. So we have a Little Red, the Pure Stone. This deck is pure red or fire. So naming fire, and you could play anything in your deck, or you could pump any Resonator in your deck. So you play one of these. We have 4 Magic Stone of Heat Ray. This is the white-red dual stone. We play 4 just for Snow White to flip. It's a little risky playing 5 special stones, because I do have split heaven and earth in here as well, which we'll get to. But yeah, it's a little risky, but I find it kind of necessary to help her flip if I don't have any apples for some reason. So 4 of those, and the rest are 5 fire magic stones. Basic fire magic, you run them. I can run all fire magic stones I want, but yeah. So it's those 10. So that's the stones, and let's get to the Resonators. Let's cut them off there. There we go. So with red, you play probably one of the best 1-drops in the game, which is Hunter in Black Forest. Playing 4. It is a 300 swiftness, so it has haste, if you know Magic terms. So just a good beater right out the gate. You could play 1 and boom, there you go. So no real big explanation on him, but he's just good. So this is one of the cards I was talking about in the beginning, is Little Red, the Hope of Millennia. She's only 200, but her effects are pretty good. So she has an awakening, so you pay your red when she comes into play. So with awakening, it's kind of like kicker in Magic. You pay the cost of the original spell, and you play the kicker cost. So to play its awakening, pretty much you pay 2 red mana to get the effect. So when this card enters your field, search your main deck for a card with Granny in it, reveal it, and put it onto the field. So I do run a Granny in here, and yeah, on turn 2 you get a 1/12 on the field, plus her. Also, her other effect is, which I like, is discard tap her and discard a card with apple in its name, and you do 1,000 damage to a Resonator. So pretty much kills everything, except for the big boys, which I'm not worried about them so much. But yeah, it could kill anything. We run 8 apples in the deck, so it's enough power to start flinging stuff. And with that, let's just get Granny. We run one Granny by the Fireplace. We do run werewolves as its effect, so when a werewolf comes to play, you flip her attack and defense until the end of turn. So she becomes a 1200. So it's a pretty big swing, especially on turn 3 if you wakened Little Red on turn 2. So just one of her. If I do get in the hand, which kind of does happen a lot of times, it's still good just to put down a big blocker. Next we have 3 Lancelot, the Knight of Mad Demon. I am going to put 4 in this deck, so I guess I expect a update video sooner or later on this deck once I tune it up a bit more. But yeah, this is probably the best 2-drop in the game right now for red. So it's a 600/600 with swiftness, which already beats out Thunder, which is pretty crazy. And as you choose a card to attack, you must choose this card if able. Pretty cool. But whenever this card attacks, and if it has an attack of 1,000 or more, Lancelot deals 700 damage to a target Resonator. And you can pay 1 red to give 100 attack until the end of turn to this card. So it can get pretty crazy. We'll show you a combo with this card and a new card from Millennia of Ages, which is a addition. So yeah. So we got 3 Lancelot. We'll go up to 4 because he's just awesome. We'll put him aside too. And we have 3 Beowulf. Beowulf is just good. He's a 300/500 for 2. And if this card would deal damage to your opponent or to a Resonator, it deals double that damage instead. So with Lancelot as well, he does get an addition on him, and it gets pretty stupid. But hitting for 600, and with a possibility of throwing a poison apple on him if they don't block, he does big damage and could close the game out really, really quick. So 3 Beowulf. Alright. And we have 3 Loup-Garou, the New Moon. He is a werewolf, which is pretty big with Granny. 700/700. Each werewolf you control gains swiftness, including himself. So he is a 700/700 haster. And whenever a werewolf you control attacks, it deals 100 damage to your opponent. If I control a moon, it deals 200 instead. The moon part doesn't really matter. That one little extra 100 damage doesn't really matter as well, but it's always good just to get that extra damage in. And he's just a 700/700 haster, like I said. And with Beowulf on the field, you can start swinging for pretty much free 200 damage every turn if you swing up both of them. So run 3, might take out 1 for the last Lancelot, as Lancelot is just pretty dumb. So yeah, 3 of those. And for the last Resonators, we got 2 Little Dread, the fake Red Moon. So is cost 3 the highest, besides Loup-Garou, it's the highest costing thing in the deck. It's a 800/800 target attacker, which is pretty cool. And it has 2 awakening effects. The first one is pay red. It enters, and target Resonator gains plus 600, minus 600 until the end of turn. So it can kill something or pump up one of your guys, which is awesome. And its other awakening effect is you pay red and it colors, enter, recover target Resonator. You gain control of it until the end of turn, and it gains swiftness until the end of turn. So you could steal one of the big guys. You can say they have a Blazer on the field. You steal it. You can attack with it, even though it has swiftness already. Doesn't matter. You take it, and you can pump it up too with its first effect. So if you have 6 mana, you could play both awakening effects, which is pretty crazy, and it could finish the game really quick. So yeah. So that's the Resonators. Pretty, I would say pretty strong lineup. And we'll leave one Lancelot there to give an example of the stupidness it causes. And here we go with the spells. So if you're playing red, you're playing 4 Thunder. 500 damage for 1 mana to a player or a Resonator or a J-Roller. So it hits anything. And with the Vingolf stuff that came out, it's easier to get Thunders, and they're going for really cheap even if you buy them singles. So you have no reason not to get Thunders anymore. So 4 Thunders. Alright, and we have Poison Apple. We have run 4 due to Little Red and definitely Snow White. So it costs 2 mana. Target Resonator you control gets plus 1,000 attack until the end of turn, and at the end of the turn you destroy that Resonator. So most times this is a game closer. So with Beowulf, you put it on there and it does double damage. So it deals 26 in 1 turn, which is more than half your life. So very damaging. You can even put on Lancelot there, and if you know he's gonna die anyways, send him in with this, and he becomes a 16, which his effect triggers dealing 700 damage to something. But yeah, it gets pretty dumb, especially with the Resonator card that will pop up sooner or later in this video. So we'll set that aside as well. So for Poison Apple, Then we have 4 Clockwork Apple Bombs. This is the least popular apple there is because Poison Apple is just too good. Cost 3. It is a standby, and its triggers if you have Snow White or your J Roller is Bloody Snow White. Destroy blocking Resonator and blocked Resonator. This card deals 500 to each control of those Resonators. So what I've done in playing this deck is attack with, let's say, a Little Red, just to get 200 damage in it. If they do block with, let's say, Mephistopheles, or I believe that's his name, you play this, and that's off the board, and your Little Red's off the board, even if you didn't need it or not, and you both take 500, which is pretty much just targeting Meph, let's call him that, and losing 500. But with this deck, there's really nothing to target with besides Poison Apple to kill them off straight up, and that's pretty much it, or just going head to head against them. So this card does help against that. Little Red mainly most of the time chucks this to kill something off, but yeah, it has some utility, but mainly Little Red uses to chuck stuff. And here we go to the edition I was talking about, Ame-no-Habakiri. Sounds weird, but it costs 2 red. Added Resonator gains 400, that's pluses, and whenever added Resonator deals damage to Resonator your opponent controls, this card deals that much damage to that Resonator's controller. So let's give you an example. Here we go. So we have Lancelot. Turn 2, you play him, he swings in, gets some damage. Okay, so it's turn 3, you equip this onto him. He's already 1,000. So his trigger to deal something 700, it's gonna happen, and this triggers as well. So they're taking 700 straight up, and when you attack, it's 1,000. The trigger happens, and if they do have another Resonator, they block it, they're gonna take 1,000 no matter what, or they're just gonna take a straight hit. So this combo right here is really, really stupid. Also, throw in a Poison Apple, you're going for game no matter what. Also with that, this combo goes with Beowulf as well. Attaching to Beowulf, it's a 700, 900, and the double damage thing happens. Plus, let's throw in a Poison Apple as well. So it could get pretty stupid, especially right here. This is the combo right here, and yeah, it's really hard to deal with. You need to stone to death it right away, else you are gonna get pretty much mauled. But yeah. Run 4 of those because they're just that good. Put that apple there. And with the 2 cards here, Split Heaven and Earth. Like I said before, it's kind of risky since I do run 5 special stones, which I really don't like, but it's a good card just to finish out the game. They probably will get replaced with the following card, 2 more copies of the Demon Sword, Laevateinn. I believe that's what I say. So this card is really dumb. Let's read off its effects. So your J Roller gets Swiftness, dumb. Tap. Until then, turn your J Roller deal damage does 200 more, so it's a Mile-list. Banish a Resonator, recover this card, so you could continue to tap it and give your J Roller power. You could discard another copy of the card to give yourself a red Will, which is pretty dumb. And you could banish this card when it's on the field, and you give your J Roller Imperishable. The Imperishable part on this card isn't too vital for Snow White. Yeah, she does die. If you have another Poison Apple to bring her back really quickly, that's fine. But paying 4 mana is very costly in this deck. So I don't use that part that much, but there's stuff with this you could do, especially with this deck. So you turn 1, you tap her, get a mana, use your Hunter, swing. Okay, cool. So turn 2, you have a Poison Apple in your hand. You play this on the field. You pay the 1, discard the Poison Apple. She flips, and you got a 13/13 target attacking haster on turn 2, which is stupid. Or you could do it a turn earlier, where if you have 2 of these in your hand, a Poison Apple, then something else, whatever. So you play your sword, discard this to get the mana, pay the 1 mana, discard the Poison Apple, flipper, and it gets really dumb. So you have a 13/13 on turn 1 that could do 15 damage. There's a lot of stupid stuff you could do. Bahamut does a lot more crazy stuff because they're gearing the deck towards stuff like that, the stupid stuff. But this deck could do it as well. Not as much damage going through, but it could be devastating. The 13/13 does a lot of work, and especially if you're playing like a control deck, like a Abdul or something, they're gonna have to throw their priests in the way and everything else. Plus, if you have more swords, you could just start chucking them to give mana, and you have hunters on the field and little reds. So if you do get apples and you can't use them, you just start clearing the field and letting Snow White go in. But yeah, that is the Snow White deck. I hope you enjoyed the profile. Let me know what you think. Let me know what I could tune. Like I said, I'm going to put 4 Lancelot, so I'm probably going to take out a Loup-Garou. And with the Regalia, the sword, I am probably going to take out the 2 Split Heaveners. I have not made a sideboard for this deck yet, but pretty much I believe I am just going to make the sideboard turn into a Bahamut deck, which is pretty easy. Just take out the apples, obviously Snow White, and fill in. Yeah, there's so much you could do with the sideboard with this deck. You could just pretty much turn into Baja Blast, as they're calling it. But yeah, this is Snow White deck. So like, comment, subscribe, let me know what you think, and I'll see you guys on the next video. Peace.